The title of this module is How to Build Your Own IoT Endpoint in Linux. In previous modules, we've sent data to endpoints such as Adafruit and SparkFun. In this module, I'm going to show you how to create your own IoT endpoint in Linux. Why should you create your own endpoint? Publicly available endpoints are great. The biggest advantage is they're super easy to work with. Most include instructions and you can instantly start sending it data and go. There's no programming required, and they sometimes have neat dashboards and other tools to help work with the data. This is the best step for beginners and others wanting to do simple projects. But there are some huge advantages to building your own endpoint. One significant point is the freedom. It's highly customizable, so you can send whatever data you want, however you want to send it. You can do anything you dream of with your own endpoint. Another significant advantage is you have fewer limits on your data. Depending on what kind of server you set up, you set your own limits of how much data you want to send and store. Plus, you own all of that data and you're free to do whatever you want with it. Any IoT endpoint as a service can shut down anytime they want or lose your data, and there's very little you can do about it. This method gives you the full control. With your own endpoint, you have the ultimate freedom, and it's cheaper than you might think. The server I'm using only costs $5 a month. For this exercise, we're going to be using a Debian Linux server. We're going to build a web API in Python using Flask, and then we're going to store our results in a MariaDB database. We're going to go through this entire process together so that you can learn exactly how to set up your own endpoint. I chose Linux for this exercise because it's powerful, highly customizable, and it's extremely efficient and free. This is the lowest cost method I know of to build a good endpoint of your own. Plus, there's a ton of information out there if you decide you really want to get into Linux and start building servers. I chose Python because I've always loved the language from my first line of code. It's simple, elegant, and it does a lot of things very well. One of these things is web APIs. We've been working with Python a lot in previous modules on the Raspberry Pi itself, so you already know how easy it is to get great results quickly with this simple yet powerful language. MariaDB is a fork of MySQL that's maintained by the founder of MySQL, and it's superior to the original in many ways. MySQL is one of the most popular open source databases on the internet, but in my opinion, MariaDB has surpassed it. Since it's a drop-in replacement, I can still use all the MySQL tools I'm familiar with, so it seemed like a good fit. So now that you know what technologies we're using and why we're using them, let's get started.